Well, thanks for joining. Today is April 17th, 2024, and this is the Fulfillment Architecture Review Meeting. And we have an interesting agenda item. Thanks, Pushwa, for bringing it to us about removing old migration files. I'll kick it over to you if you want to take it away.
Thank you. Uh, Today there were like lots of maintenance or like housekeeping MRs going on for the last few days, and I just found out like a few of them were also related to Robocop rules, and these rules were tracking uh, tracking the tracking the migration files. They were like really old, like I don't know, 2 years, 3 years old, and some of the migration files were like adding the table, but then those tables are not even there anymore. Like it has been removed, and I have linked one of the issue to the comment, but I I will also link one more that was there. Uh, from I think like Adam also like one more MR. So what just wanted to kick off like discussion if it has already been discussed or not, but like if we can just like regularly remove migration files that are really old, like 1 year, like 2 years old, 3 years old, because as far as I can tell, those files doesn't add any value once the migration is done and everything is stable, because we don't need to roll back, we don't, and all of those. So yeah, but just thinking what are the thoughts, and if we should like do that and do the cleanup.
Yeah, my initial thought is, yeah, I mean, this seems like a good thing to do from time to time, like some housekeeping, um, especially if we have some of these like some of the migrations are from 2016, so
Yeah.
there's no way any of those are getting run from the beginning anymore. If they've already been run in the environments and it's been stable, it makes sense to do some cleanup here. And Aish, I think you had a comment. I don't know if you want to verbalize it.
Yeah, so I did, stumble upon a few merge requests in the GitLab code base, and in the documentation, I should probably link that as well. It's briefly mentioned. I don't see any guideline on how it is performed or, of that sort. But so occasionally they also um, squash migrations. So maybe, migrations that is a year old, we could just squash all of it in a single migration file and then, um, delete the individual migration file itself. I think the primary advantage I see with that is number one, that we have the history of what, tables or, what migrations were performed in case we need to go back in time. And number two is that, you know, it could be tricky if we delete a certain migration file and if we don't delete a certain migration file. Like if someone is setting up a new environment and if a future migration depends on it, then, it just opens the window to, migration issues. So yeah, those were some of my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of having the history going back, like you're saying. In GitLab, we have if you look in the very first um, migration file, there's like an init schema. It looks like it just loads a SQL. It just runs some SQL commands, probably from the initial. Um, and then the next one after that is from 2023. So it looks like, it's pretty clean. Just going from 2023 on is what they're tracking there. Probably maybe on a yearly basis or something. They add more to that initial schema file. I think what we have to maybe to think about is, are there, I think we're good on the deployed environments. Like if we were to do some cleanup, like we don't have any intention of running these old migrations, but if we have people that are running this in development, maybe haven't run it in a number of months and want to if they want to keep their database and migrate up, then that might be something we want to just like keep an eye on, like how far back do we want to keep those migrations? Because they might have data that they want to migrate as well. So, but maybe beyond a year, there's not a whole lot of value. I can imagine people would have like a deployed, like a local instance of CustomersDot and beyond that and want to kind of maintain it. But yeah, I don't, what do you all think?
I think a year rolling sounds good, or a year updated every 6 months or whatever we cadence. I think my main question is not related to the timing, but making sure that we get it right. How do we verify that what the diff actually captures all the things that it's supposed to capture, and is that something we can automate? So let's pick that up in a moment and get back to the talking about what time window we want.
Yeah, definitely. I think I would also feel like going back 1 year or 2 year, let's say, like after that migrations would not really need, because also we use, I think, DB schema, right? We don't even have DB structure that's SQL. So like DB schema is the whole, and like if we do DB schema load for any new development setup, it just loads from the current schema. So not even sure like if it goes through whole, like applying all migration one by one, if we just do yeah, for the new setup. I can also think like what I said, probably sometimes there could be some backfill or some like migrations also kind of tasks that we might need. But again, I think it will be for a time being, right? For like maybe, okay, we change something and we need to do backfill. And if you have an existing development environment that you don't want to nuke, then of course this migration needs to be run. But then if you're starting something fresh for development, I think we won't need any of those backfilling migration, because everything will be fresh of the whole data, and it will depend upon seeds, like to set up the starting data for the new machine. So yeah, definitely. I also feel like I think more than 1 year, maybe more than 1 or 2 years would, it will just be like maintenance overhead for us, providing no actual value for yeah, for those long migrations. I mean keeping history.
Isabel, you're concerned about making sure we get it right. I think as long as we can still migrate from, I'm not even sure if it works right now. I've not migrated from the beginning in a long time, but if we were to run it, just to make sure that the schema doesn't have a diff is probably the end goal.
I think Vishwa addressed the concern with, oh, we'll just use current schema as implemented by Active Record itself. And I was looking at the linked MR from the GitLab side where they had the init SQL file, and I was thinking, okay, well, how do you actually generate that file consistently? But if we just use current schema, then the existing tooling works and we know it works. So let's.
I think that's a starting place, but I don't think we could use it as is, because we still want to keep some migrations, for a period of time before that. So as long as we have that starting point, and then whatever amount of migrations we want to keep, if it's 6 months or a year or
Oh
more.
yeah. Sorry, yes. I assume that was a given. We weren't going to just
Okay.
drop everything, that it was going to be current schema as the reference, and then we have a year worth of history if people want to roll back or do upgrades or funny things.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think you're on mute, Bishwa.
So thanks. Yeah. So yeah, we can also ask other folks and see like if there are any edge cases that we might have missed. But yeah, generally speaking, probably we could think of that, and yeah, maybe I don't know if we can automate it. Maybe someone can just go through and like do it once. If we do it once, then probably like every next months or like next few quarter somebody can do it once. Because yeah, just to look into it and see like, okay, yeah, maybe this migration we don't need it, kind of thing. Because I can see like if we have like the one example, if we remove the migration that creates a table, but I have a migration that deletes the table, like kind of thing, then probably it won't make good uh yeah, good state, right? Because if we have to then run some migration, then it will be like, oops, cannot delete that table only. Yeah. Unless we have like again like drop table on, if it unless we check first if the table exists before running the drop table migration kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like there is a script for this in GitLab called
Uh,
Squasher. Um, this might be useful. I don't know how easily we could apply it to CustomersDot, but here's the Squasher script. But at least it's a starting point, you know.
yeah.
I think it's a gem.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. That's really nice. Yeah.
So it feels like we're all pretty positive that it would be a good thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how much of a, how we get it prioritized, how much of a problem it is. But we do like, maintain these old migrations, like whenever, I don't know how often it is, but I go back and touch an old migration, like, if we're removing a model, which doesn't happen too much, or, something to that effect.
I guess the other question in terms of where this fits in priority is which team is likely to do this. I think this is something that's likely to land on kind of platform just from the generic, oh, all of customers dot nature of it. But I
Yeah.
also want to resist the urge to just continue to dump things on James because I like him and don't want to, him to be like, oh gosh, why does everyone keep dumping trash on me? This is terrible. What the heck, fulfillment team. So I think that's the natural place to put it, but we I don't think we have a just general this is fulfillment. Anyone can grab it sort of queue. So
Yeah, I guess this is probably a platform, but what we could do is this is one of those generic things. It doesn't look like a big effort. I mean, we can make that gem work fine and stuff. So it could be something that anyone could pick. I mean, we could leave it with platform just because it's probably um, the best thing in terms of what we do because it's more general. But yeah, but then anyone can pick it. You know, many times if an engineer has interest on these kind of changes, they can just take it off platform and do it themselves. And I think this is one of those kind of things that some engineers may feel more strongly about it because they like the clean state, for example, of the code base, and they may prefer, hey, we should do this, and then I'm happy for engineers to come to me and say, James, this is not getting scheduled. Can we just do it ourselves, and that should be absolutely fine as well. In any case, I don't have any preference at all. But yeah. think we should, I don't know if there's an issue about it, but probably next steps would be create an issue, get all engineers involved there so they know about it, discuss it with the rest of fulfillment engineers. And then we could create a follow-up for platform, and then as everyone got pinged in that issue, all engineers, we could also say, hey, this is with platform now. We haven't, we may not have time to schedule this, very likely, at least in the next quarter. However, if anyone feels strongly, they could talk to the manager and see if they can squeeze it in their own milestones. And the same for me, though. If some of my team members feel strongly, I can talk to Priyanka and see if we can schedule it sooner, of course.
Yeah,
Maybe
makes sense.
formalized process. Do we want to come up with maybe a label that we could apply on stuff like this? We put it into the fulfillment queue, but or into the fulfillment platform queue, but have like a label that says, "Oh, hey, this is like group-wide maintenance. If you want to pick it up, you can." And that way we can at least start to try and distribute some of these that, okay, platform has first dibs because we have to put it somewhere. But also people can at least go and look at that queue and be like, oh, okay, I feel strongly about DB maintenance, or oh, I feel strongly about some spec refactor or whatever the topic is. And at least there's a known place that people can look for things like this.
Yeah, I wonder if we could reuse the quick wing type label. I know that also refers to smaller things that can be picked by anyone, but that could be an option as well. We could just reuse that. In this case, it may fit. I don't think this effort will be massive. If we can reuse that gem, especially, I think it should be a small thing. And then if we add quick wing, then it ends in the list of things that anyone can pick, and especially also people joining fulfillment. But I don't disagree with having a label for those kind of things, though. For technical debt, yeah, I guess what we do in platform is create an issue to discuss the technical debt priorities for the quarter, every quarter, because we have a very long list of technical debt, right, that is assigned to platform, and not necessarily from other teams, though. I try not to take technical debt from other teams at all, but there's just too many general things there. So another solution could be just to create one of those prioritizations issue cross teams, like I did, I don't know, 6 months ago. I don't know what it was, where we all collaborate and say, hey, we can tackle all of this technical debt, and then we list the things there, and then that can be shared with other teams. But I don't have any preference, and maybe the label will be a faster way of doing it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, we have one action item, and I can take care of that, and we can move it from there probably.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds great. Thanks for taking, bringing that topic to begin with, and also creating the issue. It doesn't have to be a ton, just something to kick off that initial conversation, I think.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess that's it for this. Any other quick thoughts before we end this session? All right. Thanks for joining. We'll do it again next week. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.